Hello and welcome to HorsePlayers Happy Hour. Peter Thomas Fornital back with you in the Brooklyn bunker once again for one of my favorite shows of the week, HorsePlayers Happy Hour, an ongoing series of contests sponsored by In the Money Media and the Breeders' Cup, geared towards providing several ways of getting the folks out there Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seats. JK was on the run today, not able to join live, but he is going to join virtually. We've got some other special guests who will be coming in as well. So we're going to have a lot of fun over the course of roughly the next 2 hours. We've got Kentucky Downs for you. We've got Del Mar for you. First race, I believe, is going to be the second race at Del Mar. I sort of rushed on here in the end today, so I don't have all this stuff teed up. You'll have to forgive me, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there in the end. We always do. Yeah, as of right now, we've got plenty of time the next at Kentucky Downs, so I just need to find this Del Mar race and we can start yapping about it. But looking forward to what is always a fun show. One of the really fun things about this show is the ability to interact with you, the audience. Encourage you to let us know who you like in this second race coming up at Del Mar, and we'll talk about it. We hear a yo from Triple Crown Jockey Club. Great to hear from you. Where in the world are you, Triple Crown Jockey Club? Let us know. That's always fun to give shout outs to the different people in the different places who are joining us for the hour. And we're going to do we'll do a little bit of handicapping too. We have a pre-recorded feature from me and JK on, or JK and me sounds a little better, on the two big win and you're in Breeders' Cup races. That's another big focus that we get to on these shows from time to time, trying to share with you our thoughts on Breeders' Cup Challenge Series races, both ones that have been run and ones that are about to be run. Of course, for much more in this regard, you are free to check out all the programming over at In the Money Media, our podcast network, our YouTube channel. If you're watching via the Breeders' Cup YouTube channel, you can check that out. But let's get to JK and his thoughts on this second race at Del Mar that's coming up. If I can figure out how to cleverly promote him to the screen. Well, here, traditionally he makes fun of me. Let's see if he does that too.
Well, I don't have anybody to start and stop my camera, so I might, I'm going to power through this the best that I possibly can. But hi, Pete, or hi, everyone who's on HorsePlayer Happy Hour. Pete's probably in the bathroom. He said that he's been having some issues with his bladder, so he needed me to do these videos for him so that he could have a little bit of a break. Del Mar race 2 coming up right here. I'm not a huge fan of turnbacks and turf sprints. I think that it's just a completely different type of race. I think that you want to be forward, especially at Del Mar, where it's 5 furlongs, that flat 5 furlongs. I think it comes up very quick for turnbacks. So horses on the inside like Port Ellen seem to be a little bit against it, in my opinion. I'm ultimately going to land on the 7. Ainge and Ash is a horse who I thought ran well last time, and was doesn't have a lot of early speed, but there's not a lot of really fast horses in here that are making me a little bit worried about that. So I'm going to go with the 7, Ainge and Ash. I got some more creative ideas for you a little bit later. Is Pete back, or is he still in the restroom?
He never left. I knew we could count on him. Bladder completely fine, by the way. But it is nice to know that I do have the opportunity. It is HorsePlayer Happy Hour liquids are being consumed. So, we may get one of those in at some point, but not quite yet. JK here in this second race at Del Mar, our first contest race, going with number 7. I will tell you, it's still not too late to play in this week's game. You have the opportunity, if you would like, to just go in there. I mean, you're not going to be doing a lot of handicapping at this point, but we have had people have success playing all the 1s, all the 4s. Perhaps a technique like that might be your best friend when it comes to this week's HorsePlayer Happy Hour. JK going for this number 7, Ainge and Ash. Hector Palma off the claim from Mr. Papa Padromo here. Horse catching money, that's for sure. Back down into, let me pop that a little bigger, 3-1. So the 2-runner is a significant favorite, but JK going with number 7 as they get ready to load here. Next race is going to be Kentucky Downs. We'll talk about that one. Prepare your thoughts for that. Kentucky Downs, I think it's going to be race 8, it looks like, in 15 minutes. JK gave us thoughts on that. We'll have a chance to talk about it. We'd love to hear from you. Oscar going 5-7 here at Del Mar. I asked Triple Crown Jockey Club where in the world they were. Seattle, but looking to go global with a hip hop and horse racing album, presumably drop. We got to hear that. We got to share that with me. In themoneypodcast.com, the contact page that gets you right to my email. You know, we're always looking to change up music. I changed up the music. I went retro with the music on this early week Players Pod this week. So curious to get more details, many more details about that. And we're getting ready here, about to pop at Del Mar. I'm not going to send it to Trevor Denman with the call. I'm not going to call it proper. I don't have the voice for it today, as you can probably hear. And I don't have the colors, but I will talk you through what I'm seeing in the race. And what I saw first and foremost was a clean break with Sing a Happy Song getting out there on the front end with Dial a Friend, cute name. Those two have pulled a couple lengths clear from the rest of the pack. That includes the likes of Precious Midnight, the favorite Recinto. There's a second word there that I can't read from my angle, down in third, farther back to the one runner Port Ellen. Where's JK's horse? JK's horse, I think, is just outside of that one, Ang and Ash. And if I have the right horse, I do, looking to wind up for a run. Meanwhile, turning in, Dial a Friend has taken over. The other speed has quit, and now it's just a question of any of these closers can fire enough to rein in this Ang and Ash. Ang and Ash Ang and Ash making the big lead, move to the lead as the 6 runner fades. JK with another quick cap winner. The guy's amazing. I swear on this show, his ROI is a lot better with the quick cap picks than it is with the races that he'll go and study for an hour. I don't know what it is about the man. He's extremely intuitive, and he gets things off to a great start there with a 7-2 winner. Ang and Ash, terrific stuff. Picking that horse who came from mid-pack, good mid-pack close as Dial a Friend, just exhausted from those early exertions, firing line of runners in behind. Let's watch this replay, see if we can sort out on from it who gets second. Looks like the number 2, the favorite, Recinto Rompere, we're going to call that horse. I believe you will see the nose down on the line of that 9-5 shot. So nothing great in terms of place points for the winning selection for JK, Ang, and Ash. But let's hear how any of you did out there. Let us know. We're going to pull up some leaderboards. We're going to look at that throughout the course of the day. And we're going to maybe I'm going to finally get around to doing something I haven't done yet this year, which is, we're not done much this year, the HorsePlayers Happy Hour leaderboard. That's always a good thing to check in on, because we have a good story developing with that one. With our leader has just been putting up a tour de force performance, and she's often here with us in the I think she's been in here with us in the comments several times. Julie LeBoyko is the name to follow as far as that overall tour leaderboard is concerned. I'm going to promote it to the main screen right now so you can see 420 points. Mike Saletta, who has also been with us in the comments a bunch this year, 260. Another leading commenter, Chris Couples. And then a guy who's been a guest before on this show, going to be a guest a little bit later today, Michael Domable, Malcolm Esquer. We'll go through the top 10. Anthony Spinazzola, John Massey, and Andrew Uretsky. Pete Dressens is a lot of people tied for 5th. There with 160, Matt Letexier, Steve Nemitz, Trish Smith, Steve McNatten, Bob Montgomery, Matt Miller, who may be joining us today. And, I suspect that total might be a little low for Matt Miller. I'm curious to see what his calculations are on that. He might be joining us a little bit more today. So it's a good battle in the tour. So basically how it works is the tour points are determined by your best 8 scores. You can get up to 3 in a week. So honestly, technically speaking, you could join next week with 3 weeks to go and still put up a tour winning score. But obviously, big advantage if you're playing the whole year long. That's what we're expecting most people like Julie to have done. That overall top place finisher gets a BCBC seat. And then also there's more than that. Those other top finishers, I forget what the exact number is, but it's something like 53 on the tour. I don't want to name numbers. Top finishers on the tour, as well as people who finish in the top 2 in any given week, go on to an 80-person tournament at the end of the season. And those 80 players will compete for a second BCBC seat. So the idea of it really is that you could play 1 week and have a chance to participate in this tour prize pool. It's cool. We're very proud of this format and excited that you're joining us. If you're just seeing the live stream and you haven't watched yet, you haven't played yet, you do have 3 weeks to do it. And then there are going to be qualifiers beyond that as well, which is going to be something that we'll be talking about. But basically, the third thing that we do here is this $20 contest is a feeder into the $179 Saturday qualifier. We'll be having that style of game with the proceeds going to charity in all these games at the end of the year. So we have a bunch of people who followed JK's lead. I'm sure they had their picks in before, but you know what I mean. You can see all the people with 1320 who had that runner, including Matt Miller. Good start for him, for somebody doing well on the tour. So we'll get into name checking a little bit later on. That's something that I'm definitely interested in doing. Here, though, what we're going to do instead is get to those pre-tapes with JK and myself talking about we're going to talk about these 2 win and you're in races at Kentucky Downs that are happening this weekend. I mentioned about the possibility of charity benefiting from this. Well, it's not a possibility; it's a reality. We've got 2 charity partners. Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance is one of them, and Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga is the other. With both of those getting money from every dollar spent, instead of there being a traditional house cut, we've got those charities benefiting. We've had the pleasure of hearing from Kim Weir from Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga a few times through the meet. Always a pleasure to get to visit with her. All right, let us go now to these videos, or this video with us talking about Kentucky Downs. We'll hit that now. It's the biggest day in Kentucky Downs history on Saturday with $6 million stakes. 2 of them are Breeders' Cup win and you're in races. PTF and JK here in this video on the In the Money Media YouTube channel to talk about them with you, offer our tips. We're going to do that at the end after we talk through the field a little bit. JK, let's start with a horse that I think is a favorite you might want to take on in this Kentucky Turf Cup win and you're in action for the Breeders' Cup Turf. Integration. He's a really cool horse, but he's never gone this far. And he's one of these horses who, to this point in his career anyway, the enthusiasm in the market seems to have outstripped his actual accomplishments. Am I underrating him, or does he deserve his place as the 8-5 favorite in this field?
No. I mean, he hasn't won at Kentucky Downs, which is something that I like to give a lot of extra credit to. He hasn't gone this far. He was beaten last time, and he hasn't run overly fast. He's a West Point horse that's likely going to be overbet. I can keep going if you want me to.
Let's get to the second line of the betting here, and a horse that I do like in this spot. Number 11, Chief Little Rock. This is a Coolmore runner who bombed last time at Ascot against it's much tougher competition. But this horse has some running lines that I think would make him very competitive. I also like the fact that he got around Epsom Downs in England. Okay, Epsom, a little bit like Kentucky Downs, is unique. It's quirky. It has undulations. It has a camber in the stretch. They're running, this way. The horses have to be able to handle a lot to handle Epsom. He handled it. The horse that beat him, Bellum Justum, came back to be very, very impressive at this Kentucky Downs meet. Chief Little Rock, he's not my number 1 pick, but he is my idea of a likely winner. Where do you stand with him?
Well, I think when you see the connections here, you see Frankie Dettori, you see Coolmore, you see Aidan O'Brien, you see a horse that was last seen at Royal Ascot. I have a feeling that the punters see what I did there, are going to be pretty keen on using this horse. Probably a little bit overused, probably a little bit overrated. I'm going to look for something a little bit quirkier in here. I'm not going to be totally against in terms of a multi-race play like I am against integration, but I still think there's probably some more value to be found on the board.
Let's talk about the one runner in this spot, Highway Robber. This is a horse who will be tested for class, but does have some positive attributes. I was wondering about this one, probably more as an exotics horse. I have one I like more for my number one pick in the race, but I was curious to get your thoughts on him. Is this one of the ones you're targeting, or have we not gotten to the right price point yet?
No, I'm going to keep looking. He was 7-1 last time he ran at Kentucky Downs. Didn't hit the board that day. Like you mentioned, you talked about the turns, the undulations that you'll see at Kentucky Downs. I like to look at Kentucky Downs sometimes like Las Vegas. That saying, what stays in Vegas happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Sometimes that can happen at Kentucky Downs. Horses just like that configuration. And so I like to try to find horses that have done well there, or at least project to do well there.
My top pick in this race is going to be number 7, Tawny Port. This is a horse I think is going to get a great trip in this spot. Plenty of speed. I think this one can be forward, be in behind that speed, and maybe get the jump on the deeper closers. And this is a horse where I feel like the recent running lines just don't reflect how good the horse is. 2 back, I thought maybe moved a little bit too quick into the pace. I thought was very game, trying to run down, get smoking last time, just ran out of ground. And the other interesting thing about this horse, as far as I'm concerned, historically, this is not a meet Christophe Clement, one of the best turf trainers out there, has targeted. But this year he has, and he's run 4 so far. They've all hit the board with 1 winner. I think Tawny Port's interesting, and I think he'll be an okay price. Give him any credence.
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I like him more than the previous 2 that you had mentioned, just given the circumstances. And you said a lot of good things, but I'm going to look even sneakier here. I'm going to go towards the inside with 2 horses. I'm going to start with a 3, Cathkin Peak for Flying P Stables. If you've been paying attention to Saratoga, you saw the success that Flying P had. Cathkin Peak was one of those, going 13 furlongs on a yielding turf course with a forward trip. That makes me feel pretty comfortable. This horse will handle the undulations, the ups, the downs, in terms of the stamina. And it's Mike Maker going long on the turf. What more do you need there? And then the 4, Get Smokin', who's 1 for 1 at Kentucky Downs. Another one with tactical speed. Takes trip a little bit out of it. I'm not worried about Get Smokin' being wide or getting stopped. This horse is going to be forward. He's 1 here, going the 1.5 miles. And so I trust these 2 horses from inside draws to work out at least okay trips. I'm going to use both of them pretty equally in most of the things that I do. I'll include your Tawny Port underneath. I'll include the Coolmore runner underneath, but I'm definitely going to try to beat integration.
Bombs away for JK in that Kentucky Turf Cup. Want to let you know that this video is brought to us by our friends at Contest Jockey. Exciting new way to play handicapping contest, combines ideas of poker and horse racing. Free games at the weekend, sometimes during the week too. Go to contestjockey.com and check that out. And while we're talking about sponsors asking for favors, we'll encourage you to subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel. We are getting so close to that goal of 10,000 subs. Help us get there. We would really appreciate it. And you won't miss any of our exclusive content. Kentucky Turf Cup, not the only win in your in race at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. We've also got the Grade 2 Turf Sprint that goes as race number 11. And boy, do we have some top-notch runners in this race. We'll talk through them, JK, and we'll give a tip. We're going to start off by talking about this horse that I think holds the mantle right now of top turf sprinter in North America. And if you believe these figures, one of the best we've seen in quite a long time. Cogburn. His preparation has been interrupted. He was not originally he had the race at Saratoga he was going to run in that got rescheduled and then ultimately taken off the turf, and he did not participate. Are those and Kentucky Downs is not where he's done his best work. You look at his last few races, the figure that, it's like which one of these doesn't belong Sesame Street situation with the race where he wasn't as good being here at Kentucky Downs. Is that enough to make you want to oppose him?
I'm going to use others in here as well. He's too talented to oppose. I kind of look at Steve Asmussen a bit like I would look at Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage when he calls an audible I trust that he could probably figure out the best way to go about that audible rather than some maybe less accomplished trainer. I don't think he's done his best work here, but I think he is fast enough that if he runs his best race, he'll overcome the fact that this probably plays a little bit longer than the 6 furlongs that's listed. But the one horse that I do also want to include, because I won't probably include any further with these Europeans and these turf sprints, is the 8 Kadem. Is that how you say it, Pete? Kadeem?
Yeah, Kadeem.
You know, a 1:23 time for him US, which is pretty quick. And one of those as a year with that European pedigree that I trust to handle the 6 furlongs, like I mentioned earlier, that I believe is going to play a little bit longer. I don't need anybody else in here. I would definitely try to press up Cogburn just because I think he is the best turf sprinter in the world, but I don't quite trust him in this spot. It could be kind of a means to an end as a prep race. He needed to do something prior to the Breeders' Cup.
Yes, I think it'd be an easy one to forgive if he does. All right, I'm pausing myself because I realized with 3 minutes left, we might as well go to the JK tipping video so you can hear his thoughts with time to use it in your bets, and then we'll come back probably before the race and show my thoughts on the race we were just talking about.
All right, Kentucky Downs, race 8. I'm going to go with Outador, the 12, towards the outside, second after switching to Eddie Keneally's barn. It's a horse I think is going to appreciate getting back to the Lasix. Also one who got hooked in a very, very fast pace last time. And I think that's definitely something that you want to take into consideration. I think horses that get stuck in fast paces and can still run on well enough are some of the best bet backs around, because people will see their finishing position, think they didn't run very well, and I actually think that he ran a little bit better than it looks. Where's this horse at? There he is. The other thing, too, he's won twice here at Kentucky Downs. When I talk a little bit about the next race, I love horses that run well at Kentucky Downs. I think that goes a long way with the tricky configuration that they have there. So the 12 Outador, I don't trust Bound for Nowhere. It's getting a little bit long in the tooth. So I'm going to go towards the outside with the 12 Outador.
I wish I had left that on. That's unfortunate that I didn't catch that. All right, let me see. We still have another minute. JK going with Outador. Let's get back and we'll finish the Weah video that we were doing before. If I can just hit the right buttons, it'll work out beautifully. Doesn't win. Let's put it that way. Kadem, my fear on this one, and this was a note that came from Rob Dove, one of the top 10 pro punters in the UK today, is that he seems to think he might be a bit of an Ascot horse for course, especially the days he's done well have had headwinds and have sort of flattered him in certain regards. If he runs his best race, he's got the class. I'm not saying he can't win, but that did make me, looking at some of his form at other places, did make me worry about him just the littlest bit. We'll have to talk about the reigning BC Turf Sprint champ before we get out of here. No Balls makes an awful lot of sense in this spot, second off the layoff based on what he's done in his career. He wasn't in your reckoning of the race. Are you opposed to him, or is he just another one you feel like is kind of going to be the price? We lost you, JK. We got you muted.
It wouldn't be a show without the mute button. No, I don't need. I was muted because I didn't need anybody else in here. I don't need Nobles at all. I thought he ran horrible last time. Actually used him in a Survivor game I was playing, and so I remember distinctly that he ran fourth as a horse that was a single for many. I think he's a circumstantial horse, and I don't think these are the circumstances that are going to fit him.
I will throw out a 30-1 shot for you. You went bombs away in the other race. I'll go bombs away here. There's really no angle other than horse for course, but we saw this last year with a not particularly informed gear jockey getting back to his favorite course and running really, really well in this race. I think he's worth including at what should be a big price, despite the 11th place finish and being off for 300 days. There might just be something about this place that he likes. He'd be another one I would definitely want in the mix as well. I'm not as down on No Balls as you. I could see throwing in a horse like Witty for a penny, potentially. And I might just let, in shorter exotics, might just let Cogburn beat me in this spot, thinking maybe it is more of a means to an end. Now you know what we think. We want to hear what you think. Drop us a comment down below. Let us know who's going to win these races at Kentucky Downs, what you like, what you didn't like. For JK, I'm PTF. We will see you next. And next time is right now. They're off at Kentucky Downs. JK's tip out a door in this spot, getting a very, very nice trip from what I'm seeing on the simulcast feed. Just stalking in second. Looks like Foxtrot Anna is the one who's out there on the lead. This 6.5 furlong sprint. They are in the lane. You can see a lot of pushing and driving as they go to this head-on view, and Altador sticking on very nicely there towards the top of proceedings. But there is a line in behind, and the two-runner just came out to make a run. Implementation, and I think that one is just going to get Altador on the line. Looked like 2:12 to me, but it's Kentucky Downs, so I want to wait and see a photo and make sure. But those look like the ones. Appreciating the comments coming in from Chris Couples. I put the one up there about him giving plaudits to Julie. Let's see who he's talking about here. Okay, this is a tip for a race that we just saw. So we don't need that one. Chris, always so good. One of the few people I'll just pop his comments up there without even having to look. But yeah, it does look like this is going to come to 12. Let's see. There's some talk about fierceness in the comments that I'm not going to share. I don't know what that means. That's okay. Wow, that was interesting. I watched the break at Kentucky Downs. Oh, no, it's because the camera is at an angle there. So the head-on is not a head-on. I was like, it looks like the whole field's getting out. That's just the angle of the camera. It is fun. It's going to be fun with all the money the track is bringing in just to see the continued improvements. I mean, they've come a long way in terms of the TV production for sure. But definitely still a little bit different when it comes to the view you're going to get there. We'll do an updated leaderboard in a little bit. We've got 11 minutes to Del Mar. We've got another Jonathan video. Why don't we get to that? Let's get his opinion nice and early for this Del Mar race, and at that point we'll be able to discuss it ourselves a little bit. But let's see what our man has to say here as far as this race number 3 goes at Del Mar.
Stands for. I'm sorry, that wasn't very funny.
That's
I mean,
terrible.
it was pretty funny.
He wants that one back. He wants that one back.
Del Mar race 3. This is a situation where it feels like the 1, 2, and the 4 all kind of look the same to me. Kind of even runners when you look at their pace figures. And one of the things when I'm looking for horses to stretch out, I want horses that have the same pace figure range as their final figure. So, for instance, let's just say their pace figures are 80, 80, 80, and their final figures are 80. That tells me that the horse is running very efficiently, very even, and looks like a horse that shouldn't have a problem stretching out. The 2 Clampet's obviously going to take some money. The 4 Elector going to take some money. But I'm going to go towards the inside with the stretch out and the 1 Ready to Pounce. A horse who ran extremely well last time. I thought sneaky well for Phil D'Amato in a style in which he feels like he's going to stretch out. Going to 6.5. First for Phil D'Amato. He just basically ran the same race throughout that 6.5. So I'm very, very hopeful that he'll appreciate the added distance. He's got the inside draw to be able to save some ground, which should help when, if you think about it from a geometry standpoint, when they turn for home. So I'm going to land on the 1 Ready to Pounce.
All right, good stuff from JK. He somehow got his machine. He got his camera turned off a little bit better there, Ready to Pounce. I love that angle that he brings up about the efficiency in the pace lines. He's referring to Timeform US specifically there. So that's where those pace numbers are coming from, which you can also access in the DRF Formulator PPs. They are now out on the track for this one. Ready to Pounce, the 7-2 favorite. Clamp it 3-1. Current favorite is number 3, Zimba Warrior at 2-1. The 4, Elector, 3-1. You can take out the 5. Mitico, number 6. That's your rank outsider, 20-1. And then number 7, Clouseau, a great name. And doesn't. I was hoping there would be some sort of distorted humor for Clouseau. Good. but then I was hoping there would be something French in the name. But I guess Peter Sellers is English, so English Garden by Bernardini. Maybe the name does work. Pretty funny. Chris saying he had some struggles with coming up with strong opinions in the contest today, but sometimes you never know though. Sometimes you struggle, you reach for a price, it comes in. We'll see how it turns out for you, Chris. That's very funny. David Pierce, we're betting the house. Green Bay will not win tonight. They're not playing, so that is a very, very safe one. We had a Del Mar opinion. We have a tip for number 4. That's Elector, one of the ones JK made sense, though he did prefer number 1, Ready to Pounce at the end of the day. What do we got? We have one more. We have one more video later from JK. I don't really have any other filler stuff. I'm just going to chat with you all for a bit. I thought that maybe one of our guests would be here by now, but that's okay. We'll make it. We'll make it work. We always do. Yeah. If anybody has any opinions, we just played our video about the sprint, the grade 2 sprint that is a Breeders' Cup win in your in race, and also the Kentucky Turf Cup. If anybody in the comments has opinions of who they like in there, I think they're interesting races. I mean, just because it's Kentucky Downs, I don't think it's as simple as Cogburn and the other favorite. I was thinking made sense to actively bet against in the form of Integration. Hasn't been this far. The market enthusiasm for him always seems to be greater than what we've seen on the track to this point, anyway. I mean, he's had some big runs, and he's a cool horse, and I don't mean to denigrate him in any way, but not one I would want as a favorite against that field. But that's what we think. What do you think? Hit us up in the comments here and let us know. We got a question about Breeders' Cup Classic. I think Fierceness makes the most sense, honestly. All that time between races, he's run the fastest. He should get faster still. There are some questions. As we've said, he hasn't really been able to do well in a street fight. He hasn't really had to handle adversity, but some of that is that he's been able to make his own trips the last twice. So look, there's other horses who are going to be interesting. I mean, the International Invaders, really, really strong with Forever Young, who was so good, obviously, in the Kentucky Derby. You've got a runner like City of Troy, who's a bit of an X factor. I noticed a great podcast title. I haven't clicked on it yet, but I'm going to. Nick Luck, we have the pleasure of distributing in America through Nick Luck Daily, posted the podcast with the title, Is City of Troy a Dirt Horse? I can't wait to listen. I mean, I got to see him in person at Sandown at the Eclipse, and I have to say, he looked like, I was impressed with him physically after having heard Brits tell me how small he was all spring. I mean, either that was wrong or he's grown up. He's not the world's biggest horse, but he's long, and he looked like a horse to me. I don't do this for a living in terms of evaluating blood stock, but I wouldn't rule out him being a dirt horse on the physicality, and you certainly wouldn't on the blood being by Justify. So we will see. I like it. We've got some trash talk from Kevin. I'm glad he mentioned this because this is an important topic. He's talking about taking down the Kentucky Downs tournament on Saturday. That's the king of the turf. Julie LeBoyko may turn it into the queen of the turf if she has her way. But if you're interested in information, it's the biggest contest they've ever done. This is a great card. JK and I earlier in the show talked about the 2 win your in races, but there's 4 other stakes. All of them are worth $1 million. I mean, this is one of the richest cards you'll see anywhere outside of, Saudi Arabia and Dubai on their big nights. It's incredible racing. And there's going to be this handicapping contest. You can get all the details. It's a bigger money one. I forget what the exact buy-in is. Is it 3,000? It's something of that nature. InTheMoneyPodcast.com. I actually set up the pretty link both ways. So you can go InTheMoneyPodcast.com/King Turf, or you can go InTheMoneyPodcast.com Turf King. Hey, I might as well pop it up here and show everybody. This will take you to the rules. You have a lot of different ways to play this one. On Express Bet, you can play right up to the start of the first race. But the other ADWs taking this, and they are 4NJ Bets, TVG, and HPI Bet. And for those, you do need to pre-register, which means the day before by 3 o'clock. September 7th, obviously, this Saturday. It's $2,500 per entry. So $1,500 for the bankroll, $1,000 towards the prize pool. I interviewed Brian Skirka for the show the other day. That's actually hasn't dropped yet. It's going to drop on Friday. But he said they were up to 55 yesterday. I think they're going to easily cruise past 100. And the prizes are great here. The winner is going to get an entry to the NHC and BCBC. In addition, this is really fun. You get a special designation, National Turf Handicapper of the Year, which means you'll receive the Global Tote King of the Turf Championship belt. We're talking about an AEW style. See what I did there? Belt designed like a, like what you'd see the champ wearing there. And I love this line in the copy: guaranteed to earn the recipient the respect and envy of fellow tournament players. I love that line because that's what it's all about. And that gets back to some of the trash talk we're seeing here. And we can see Chris Couples wants it. He wants the belt. I know you'll be playing. I'll be there in Nashville on Saturday. If folks are around, would be great to have you come say hi. So let me know. Chris Couples pointing out there's also a Twin Spires contest. Their Breeders' Cup betting challenge seats in that pool as well. You know, I would say if you're picking one or the other, this King of the Turf seems to have a lot of the bells and whistles, but we've seen multi-tabling in contests like in poker where you're playing more than once, and you'll see what happens. So Dean apparently likes the international runners. So for Forever Young and City of Troy, for him, we'll see. It's always going to be hard to see how they're going to handle conditions. I think if the real fierceness shows up, it's going to be tough for everybody. Let's see. Oh, here's an interesting tip. This was a horse that got some love on one of the shows. I think it was JK. Grooms All Business. Hoping Portnoy doesn't take too big a position. Dave Portnoy been betting a lot of money and moving some markets around for sure. Dylan Davis, what a Saratoga he had. I mean, there were so many jockeys that did well, but from a betting point of view, a jockey who rides that many and can have a positive ROI and that high of a strike rate, it was an amazing meet for Dylan Davis for sure. Chris is thinking about coming, loading up the kids and taking them. Yeah, I mean, they do also have that tailgate area, assuming you don't want to do the fancier racing area, Chris, with kids. There is a tailgating area. It sounds like a lot of fun. I believe I'm going to be pressed into service doing some stuff media-wise, so I'll be up at the main campus. But Chris, reach out to me. You got my number. And anybody who wants to reach out to me anytime, inthemoneypodcast.com, that contact button goes right to my personal email. So feel free to reach out there as well if you want to have any messages for me or trying to meet up at an exciting place like Kentucky Downs. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm going to fly into Nashville in the morning. I'm meeting a good friend who's actually I met through the great Harvey Pack, Jeff DeVasher. Going to be meeting him, do a little brewery tour, meeting some friends for dinner in Nashville downtown, and then boom, it's only a 40-minute ride the next day to get ourselves up to the track. I don't know if Jeff's going yet. Maybe he'll be my Uber. If not, I'll just take a regular Uber. In any case, very excited to be heading down to Kentucky Downs for this biggest day in their history. Feel free to anybody who's watching, send us your thoughts, and we'd love to hear what's going on. Let's see. So Kevin's hoping that the field gets divided and maybe it's not as hard. I got bad news for you, Kevin. A lot of the best players are going to be shooting for that big money at Kentucky Downs. I mean, it doesn't suit every player's style of play because, somebody like Jonathan is a good example. He loves to be able to figure out, really lock up races and just crush combos. And I do think Kentucky Downs lends a little bit more to the out-of-the-box, creative, hey, I'm going to take a shot on this 20-to-1 shot kind of a thing. So it'll be interesting to see how the contest plays out as they are off at Del Mar. JK's ready to pounce, getting a nice little run through on the inside. It's a funny looking configuration. For a second there, they looked like they were 6 across, ready to pounce at a good spot down on the inside, but the current leader is number 2, Clampett, with the 4, Elector in there behind JK's ready to pounce. I think that's probably in third by a nose on the outside of that one. You see that rank outsider. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing that horse's name correctly. I think I am. Mitico there, farther back for Zimba Warrior and Clouseau at the tail of the field right now as they approach that turn. Clampett still in control of things, but Elector breathing down his neck. Ready to Pounce, maybe just being niggled at a little bit down at the rail in third. We'll see if that one on the stretch out has any response. So the niggle is becoming more of a pump for that runner. Mitico in behind, a run coming from Clouseau, splitting horses towards the back of the pack. Ready to Pounce, maybe picking up gradually. Back at the front of the field, Elector has made his way to the throat latch of the longtime leader. Clamp It is going better than that rival. Ready to Pounce, moving out into the three path and looking to be picking up Clouseau, trying to continue that extended run from the back. But here's JK looking for a second winner and a second place finisher as Ready to Pounce takes over rather easily in the end. Not much resistance being offered by Elector, who's now back behind Clamp It. Interesting to see Clamp It maybe carried a little bit by the inside of the track there late on. That's the one who's going to get second. But this was all about another winner for JK. Ready to Pounce looked like about 3-1 in the end for this one. We'll get you some prices. We'll update the leaderboard and do all that fun stuff. Yeah, that's it. I mean, if he bet like this in real life, Chris, he'd quit. He'd be off in he'd move to the Amalfi Coast full time. Oh, he's like watching, asking me if I'm laying the wood with the Liberty tonight at minus 350. They've been so good. I wouldn't tell you not to do it, but it's not exactly my kind of price. It's been fun though. Perrin, very into sports in general. My 11-year-old daughter, WNBA of particular interest, but not exclusively. We went and had a wonderful day at the Padres game, Petco Park, on Monday. Had a ton of fun. Got some great seats with my friends Lauren and Austin, some Beer World friends from out there. Lauren's a bartender at Pure Project, where we filmed a lot of stuff over the years up in Carlsbad, and it was great. Austin, a big lifelong Padre fan, so it was fantastic having them there. And that game I did bet. Stu, and it worked out very well. Use the Cut app to good effect there. They're not even sponsors anymore, but I'll give them a little bit of free plug ahead of the NFL season. Cut, K-U-T-T. We even still probably have a promo code you could use, ITM24, to get some sort of bonus when you sign up and tell us you sent them. But really exciting new way to bet sports that might come in handy, very handy with the NFL season starting tonight. Chris also asking, I hate doing that to people when they've given the tip and I don't get it before the race and then I get it after. But sometimes when I'm by myself here, I'm just clicking buttons. I'm not going to be by myself for long. If this filibuster has been a lot for you, do not fear, because we've got at least 2, maybe 3 guests who are going to be joining us to talk about the rest of the racing on these cards. We might even do a little more Kentucky Downs chat, because one of our folks, Michael Domable, does our daily analysis over at inthemoneypodcast.com. And that's another good thing to tell people about if you don't know. Inthemoneypodcast.com, we've got free tips and analysis daily on that site. So an excellent opportunity to catch up with racing around the country. Dean Kepler, very popular there, doing Southern California. Nick Tamaro does New York for us. Michael bounces around. Eric Solomon bounces around. I'm leaving people out, but I mean, those are folks who are really bringing the good stuff in terms of content for horse racing fans. It's going to help you make some money. I'm a regular reader as well. If I'm in a spread race, if I'm at a point where I'm using more than 3, I'm going to always go and I'm going to look and see who our team of tipsters is putting up in those races. I'm going to be very inclined to throw in some prices once I've identified a spread race. I think that's one of the best ways to use public handicappers, even if you like to do the work yourself. It can make a lot of sense. And we do have our first guest getting ready to come in, but we also have a new leaderboard. So I'm going to do that real quick before we bring him in. We're through 3 races now. I just have to hit the right buttons. You get impressed with the producers because of the line I used to use for DJ Unstable, Craig Gorbanoff, pressing all the right buttons. It's when you're doing it yourself, it's not easy to press all the right buttons. Matt Letexier doing very well on the tour, doing very well today. Outright first place right now, 37.50, followed by Daniel Edwards, Dennis Clark, John Manarino, Daniel Edwards again with the second entry. I always like to see when they do 2 entries, how aligned are they? Looks like a lot of different colors for Daniel. Very interesting possibilities there. Bernard Moore, Wendy Long, Nathan Kaczynski, Trish Smith, Matt Miller hanging in there, and our own Chris Couples also in a tie with Matt and Pete Dressens for 10th. Host fail. I haven't even looked yet to see how many people are playing in this week's contest, but I bet the man I'm about to introduce knows, because when I need to know things about the Horse Players Happy Hour leaderboard, I'm not joking, I often turn to him. He's Michael Domable. What's up, my man?
Hey, how's it going, Pete? Yeah, I think it's about 177 is what we got this week.
That's great. That's a good number for a post. I mean, it's still a huge week with Del Mar still going and Kentucky Downs doing its thing, but that's great. That means 17 people. The next time we do a leaderboard check, I will. I'll do that. But how's it been going? What have you been thinking about this Kentucky Downs meet so far? Any observations you care to share?
Yeah, I think it's cool that we got nice weather the whole time. I think pretty much every meet that I've been following it, there's been at least 1 or 2 days that got washed off or it had to be rescheduled. So that's one thing that's been nice. I think there's been a couple days where it's been nice to be up close to the pace, but it's pretty fair for Kentucky Downs. When they take those rails down, that's when you got to watch to see if the new ground might be advantageous on the inside. That probably is going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, we got to watch that because it'll affect some races. Though some of those big races on Saturday have so much speed in them. I think I'm going to look to play stalkers who might be able to save ground as opposed to the out-and-out speed horses, even if it is that kind of day. But we'll see. We're going to have fun. Oh, gosh, I just remembered. I did a show. I already recorded my Saturday show with Nick Tamaro, and I haven't dropped it yet. I should have probably done that a little bit earlier today. But maybe it makes sense to do it halfway through the Thursday card. It won't be so bad. We'll get that out there. And, of course, you've been writing every day over at InTheMoneyPodcast.com. How does your approach I'll ask it both, actually, to both handicapping and betting change at Kentucky Downs as opposed to, a more traditional USA race course?
Yeah, I mean, I have a perfect proxy for that question because I'm covering both Kentucky Downs and Colonial Downs for the network this summer. And I would say Colonial Downs, outside of the fact that it has a lot of turf racing, is kind of more of your run-of-the-mill North American track compared to Kentucky Downs. I would say the biggest difference is I have to, hold myself back from getting too involved in the lengthy multi-race wagers at Kentucky Downs, just because of you've got 12 horses in every race, so the permutations can get pretty expensive pretty quick. And B, it's pretty easy to get knocked out by a wacky long shot that you never would have had in those races versus being able to kind of hone in on a couple of combinations in a more traditional track. So I'd say that's probably the biggest difference. Now, unfortunately, my hesitation to playing the pick 5 at Kentucky Downs prevented me from hitting one on Sunday where I had all of my A's in the late pick 5 that could have hit for 11,000.
Oh my God!
But we did have a nice 22-1 winner on top, so that at least softened the blow a little bit.
You've been crushing it there. Yeah. What I would say is the opportunities are so great in those lengthy pick bets. I think the ideal thing to do, and if Matt Miller turns up on the show, I'd like to ask him his opinion of this, but I already know he's going to like it, would be almost like to try to find some friends and pool on that so you can keep that spend is necessarily going to be high. But if you can keep that spend relative to what you're doing in your own pocket manageable, you could still be eligible to participate in those bigger scores. But it does seem like one that might be a good opportunity for a team, an Avengers style team up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is don't be stingy and bet all your A's every time if it only costs you $25 and you don't have to worry about it.
You didn't mention that inexpensive of a ticket. But I mean, generally speaking, if you're looking at all of those, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to play multiple tickets and have backups and things like that, you're gonna balloon pretty quick.
Yeah. So I think I lied. I think I said I did a show with Nick Tamaro about Saturday. This is how things get blended in your brain. I haven't done a show with Nick in a while. This is with Jack Jenkins, a mutual friend of mine and Nick Tamaro's. But yeah, I'm gonna be. Maybe I'll even share the screen. I'm going to post the podcast live while on another podcast and sort of peek in the money media behavior here. But that one's going to be fun. Obviously, I'm dying to hear what you have to say about that card as well. Maybe we'll preview. How far along are you with your work for Saturday yet? I don't want to spring anything on you.
I'm working my way. So Colonial and Kentucky Downs are running simultaneously this week. So you've got Colonial and Kentucky Downs today. You've got Colonial tomorrow evening, and then both of them on Saturday. And so I've got a podcast I'm recording with Mike Probozzi and Will Humphrey for Colonial Downs. They have an all stakes pick 5 and an all stakes pick 6 on Saturday. So that's kind of the card I've been focused on first. And then we're recording a podcast for the early pick 5 at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. So probably sometime tomorrow, I'll make my way through the Kentucky Downs Saturday card.
Excellent. Well, people can get your opinions later. If you were all capped up on it, I was going to bother you for a thought or two now, but we don't need to worry about that. We've got another guest going to be joining us shortly. God, is that Steve Goldberg? Is that who that is out there? I'm looking in our green room. We'll get there shortly. Let me actually, Michael, I'm going to let you take a quick break. I'm going to bring these jokers in, and then we'll all reconvene. We've got 7 minutes to race 9. So I'm going to bring these guys in for 2 minutes, bring you back. We'll hear JK's thoughts. We'll hear your thoughts on this race. But let me see what's going on here out at Del Mar.
How are you, Pete? I'm looking all over for you. We got room on our table.
Look at the camera, Steve.
Steve
We got room
Goldberg
at the table, man. Where are you?
I'm in Brooklyn. I'm home. How are things going out there?
Things are great. Yep.
Do you have another show
good.
parlay? We had that good show parlay last Thursday. Are you
That's
getting
where
back
we're going
in
today, man. We're going to start it up right now.
I love it. Well, who are you going to use? Did Frank give you a horse?
No, what do I use in this? The third race? Is it the third or the fourth?
The fourth here.
Who you got in the fourth?
The nine.
It's a lot
9
harder.
horse.
The 9. Okay. Last week we ran it through 3 races or 4 races. That's a little easier than running it through the rest of the card, but it's good to see your face, my friend.
Now.
I love it.
You, brother.
I love it.
Good to see
All
you,
right,
man.
Frank.
And Frank.
We're gonna do Kentucky
Perfect
Downs.
timing, huh?
We got a table out there. We got a table.
In the stretch run.
Where's he sitting?
He's showing me the ticket right now. Yep, the stretch run trackside dining. I'll
That
come
was
say
very
hi.
nice.
Wow.
On
All
a
right.
warm day, very, very nice. So, Frank, here's what I'm going to do. We've got a race at Kentucky Downs coming up before you. So, Michael and I are going to go through that, and then we're going to bring you back in.
No worries.
Right.
I just wanted you to say hi to
I thought
Steve.
I saw Goldberg's mug, so I had to come to you early. When you're out to when you make your triumphant trip out to Del Mar, Michael, we've got to get you to our table at the Pacific Coast Grill.
Yeah.
You're racing all day. You go there, you watch the sunset. The only problem is if he hooks you up, you may have to give him horses for his show parlay. But it's there are worse things to have to do. So
yeah, I have the Pacific Coast Grill up on my Safari browser. I'm waiting for the ability to make a reservation for the Friday of Breeders' Cup. So I'm excited to get over there.
You've got that covered. You just come sit with me.
All right, yeah.
All right, let's hear what JK has to say about this one, Michael, and then we'll bring you in.
All right. I don't know the chronological order of this, but I think this is the last time you'll see me. Typically, I'm drinking a beer, but since I recorded this in the morning, I'm just having water.
Where?
I actually have a couple of opinions here. The easy one is I think Papillo is going to run well. One that I definitely would use, depending on what kind of, if you're playing in the contest or a contest. One that I think you could probably trust if you're looking on the shorter part of the odd spectrum. But one that I'm really interested in is Hidden Connection. Obviously, close to the connections of black type thoroughbreds. I've been following this horse's career. She's always been good, but she's never really been great. She's never been able to kind of get over that hump. She'll range up and kind of get close. She'll run second in nice races. And maybe she just wanted to be on grass the entire time. She definitely has the class. And if you look at her pedigree, she has a half sister, Lightning My Queen, that won on the grass. She's got another half, Kick Me in the Gas, which is interesting. The Jockey Club let that one go by, who debuted on the turf. So the connections thought she was a turf horse, or he was a turf horse, excuse me. And the second dam, Grandma, won on the grass. So maybe Hidden Connection does have some grass in her pedigree, and she's going to be a big price in here. So I'm going to go with the Hidden Connection. Papilio, also one that's extremely live in here. And now I'm going to try to find the stop recording button without breaking eye contact. It's not going well. I can't tell where I'm at. I found it.
He's a nut. What do you think of his opinion in here? Who did you use?
Well, I think he might be a little biased with his pick.
A little bit of a homer pick.
A little bit of a. That, unfortunately,
wait till you hear Jack Jenkins on the Saturday show. Friends with Mike Maker, I think picked every Maker horse. I was definitely giving him a hard time for that.
Yeah, I mean, Hidden Connection is one of only 2 horses I had X'd out in this race. So hopefully his hot streak on HorsePlayers Happy Hour doesn't come at my expense on this one. I had 2 horses that I liked in this spot. It was actually one of my highlight plays on the blog this afternoon. The one that I put on top is the number 2, Immensitude. And if people aren't familiar with Wathnan Racing, they're going to get familiar with them pretty quick. So I definitely believe that, they've come to play. Anytime you've got the financial backing of the Emir of Qatar, you're going to be able to pony up some big money. They've won a bunch of races at Ascot, and now they're starting their sights on domestic racing. They have Subsanador who won the Island, but this horse I think is going to get a good trip. Covered up inside, hasn't been covered up in either of her trips or any of their trips in America so far. So I like Immensitude. And then the long shot I threw in is Safine, who's sitting at about 14-1 right now. I think the blinkers on Luis Saez signals that they're going to be forward, and the change of tactics might help. So I split my entries 2 and 1 in the HorsePlayer Happy Hour, 2 with the 2 and 1 with Safine.
Okay, excellent. Is that a typical thing that you'll do in this spot? I mean, we've talked about that idea of weeks where you're trying to just, really up the tour points, and you'll use all 3 on the same. But typically speaking, if you're divided, that's the kind of combination you'll play.
Yeah, well, I think my strategy is going to have to modify a little bit coming down the stretch here just to try to catch Julie. Because, I mean, I'm double qualified essentially for the postseason with the way the tour points are shaking out right now. So it's all about trying to catch her in the balance of the regular season.
Yes.
So basically what I did with these entries is I put, if there's 7 races times 3 entries, that's 21 selections. And I probably have about 16 or 17 of them are the same across the entries. So just splitting a couple times where I was like really torn between two prices and hoping that I can get everything else and move up into contention and either get a couple notches at the same time versus trying to get them all individually every week.
How would you rate Julie's chance?
I'm sorry, you cut out there, Pete. I think Julie's chances of winning are very high.
Gotcha.
If that's what you asked, I think.
Yes, that's what I asked.
Yeah, I think I would put her at probably 2 to 5.
Wow, long odds on. Odds on.
It's just tough to get. I mean, unless someone comes in with the strategy that I am broadcasting to the world and runs runner and gets about. I think you can get about 270 points in a single week if you win the contest and have 3 of the same entry. And so it's probably going to take something like that or a back-to-back winners or something like that to knock her off. But I'll be one chasing, that's for sure.
You got to try. I mean, for a lot of people now, it's trying to get position to advance to the tour, the playoffs, that field of 80 at the end of the year. You're confident you're going to be heading there fully barreled?
Oh yeah, I'm very confident that there'll be 2 Michael Donables running around in that field of 80, hoping to just dodge the cut line every week and make it to the final table. I think that would be even a longer shot would be to be able to win the playoffs 2 years in a row, win a field of 80 back-to-back years. So that's what I'll be trying to do. Most likely to try to cash in on HorsePlayers Happy Hour.
It would be great. I mean, you've done such a good job of, leveraging your opinions and getting yourself, in these great spots, getting yourself into the contest. It's been great to see and appreciate your enthusiasm for the format. And you've also been somebody who has helped spread the word, because that's the thing. I mean, you're joking before about, giving away the strategy, but like my general thought on all this stuff is I don't know why that's still ringing when I told it to climb. Susan looking for me. clearly very aware of my work schedule. The thing about this is, if we want organizations to do things that are player friendly, we need to support them, and by not just supporting it yourself, but also talking about it on shows and getting other people excited. That's something you're doing. All right, we'll let you watch this race here. We're rooting for number 2, Immensitude for you, and number 7, Safine, who is out on the lead. Are you? Was that a predictable thing that Safine would be out there on the front?
Yeah, I think that was the tactics. So, we put Saez aboard, and I think they added blinkers. I can't necessarily tell with the camera angles at Colonial Downs, or Kentucky Downs, but I think that was the play. Yeah, the blinkers on, and Saez, that means straight to the front. So that would be ways long shots win. A lot of times it's wire to wire.
Yeah, I mean, 2 lengths clear here as they are somewhere on the back. It's always I guess no, they're starting the long turn in now, and you're being chased, it looks like, primarily by the 14. She's looking lucky, and the 4 Papilio, who JK gave a good shout to. But meanwhile, up front, as they're getting into the first stretch, not quite the dog leg yet, still in first, being chased by that 14 runner. She's looking lucky. You're both working hard here. You've got the aid of the running rail and seem to be sticking on pretty okay. Stride shortening now a little bit. Gonna have to pull this out to keep the on-rushing charge off, and I think you just did. I think you just got there. Very exciting stuff. In the end. Nice
long shots.
Yeah, nice pick there. What price in the end?
Well, I don't know off of. I think about 12-1 based on my
12s in the end. Very nice. So took a little bit of money, but certainly going to put you in a very, very good spot for this week. Of course, you said you'd split it now. Now you're wishing you'd just gone the long shot on all 3, but hey, you can't second guess like that. It was a very sound strategy going in, and one of your entries is going to be rocketing up the leaderboard here as we finish our action at Kentucky Downs. Or do we have one more?
One more. Yep.
We got one more at Kentucky Downs. I didn't get a third video from JK because I figured you could handle the last one. I didn't want to make him work that hard. You saw how he was struggling with the on-off button. I didn't want to overtax his brain with a big weekend coming up and NFL action to worry about. So we've got 5 minutes to race number 4 at Del Mar, and it looks like our Del Mar regular guest is ready to pop in and join us. Michael, we'll leave you in here because obviously you handicapped this race as well. But here's Frank Scatoni. Frank, what's going on?
Hey, Pete. What's going on with you?
Things are good. Have you met Michael Domable before?
I haven't, but I've been enjoyed listening to your conversation. So, hey, Michael, I'm Frank.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
We've got 6 minutes actually to this 4th race at Del Mar. What are your thoughts here, Frank? Did you get a chance to look at them come by, or were you wrestling with technology?
I did not get a chance to look at them come by because I was bombarded with the Pacific Coast Grill crowd. You saw Steve Goldberg and Phil Berkowitz walk by. 2 guys that they're probably the 2 guys that we've known the longest out here, right? I mean, they were the first ones we met. The reason we came out originally.
I worked on the book with Steve in 1999. His brother is Goldberg, the wrestler. And we worked on that book together, and we arranged a celebratory, we survived this impossible project. Not that Bill is not a difficult guy, but anybody who's working in that business while they're working, not necessarily easy. Jericho maybe being a notable exception. But anyway, it was a tough project, and we said we're going to reward ourselves. Once I learned that Steve had this restaurant at the time was even closer, a couple furlongs from the finish line.
You could walk.
You decided to tag. We were such at those. I'm sure we roomed together. You decided to tag along, and we had a great weekend. And there's a much longer version of the story that we'll have Andrew Brown.
I love Andrew Brown repeat it, and just a little teaser. Zeppo Marks makes an appearance. So, but I had nothing clever in this race, Pete. Unfortunately, I was all about Willa T. I just think. She is the best horse in the race. I'm a little worried about the post, but Frey Sue is more than capable of giving this one a good ride. I think it's a massive jock upgrade. Keep an eye on the horse though. Last time I have a note in Formulator, she was nutty and she broke through the gate. So If she's misbehaving today, that could be a red flag. But on the drop, good closing times. I just think that's the one to beat. And then I gave another look to number 10, Den of Iniquity. Second start of the form cycle. Rispoli sticks around. I thought the horse ran really well. Actually closed and ran on late in a race that had no pace at all. A minus 201 flow number. And you know how slow that is up front, Pete. So the fact that this horse was able to pass horses and finish second, that suggests a move forward today.
I like it, Michael. Where did you stand with this race? And then we'll take a look at this updated leaderboard after that.
Yeah, I think Frank identified the two most likely winners: the number 9 Willity and the number 10 Den of Iniquity. But for me, in the 177 person pick and pray contest, I didn't necessarily want either of those on my entries. I went with the number 8 Running Super, who is first off the claim for Vladimir Serin, who does pretty good work with new additions to his barn. 47 flat work most recently after switching over to the new conditioner. And this is first time turf, first time route. Run Happy doesn't necessarily give me the most confidence about 2 turns, but the dam produced a couple to try the turf, including Boreal, who stakes placed actually at Kentucky Downs. So that's enough turf pedigree there for me to try this one. I'll put him on all 3. Put it on all 3 entries. Try to shake up this leaderboard.
I was actually surprised looking it up. I mean, Run Happy, not like some major turf influence, but this does get 8% turf routing, which is better than I would have guessed. And I love, as Frank knows from many conversations we've had over the years, I love Arch as a potential turf influence there, and especially with a dam. I mean, she ran in France, and looking through these siblings, this one could turf. You think this could be a clever claim, Frank? What do you think about this 8 runner?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the race last time, bumped at the start, 4-5 wide, no rally. Not the horse's fault. You did not want to be on the part of the track that day. You cannot win from outside. The fact that Michael makes a good point. The fact that Serin, who's a very good trainer, claimed the horse. Serin doesn't claim a lot of horses these days, so he must think this is a turf router. Like, why else would you claim this horse unless you thought you could upgrade the horse, trying something different? So the horse has sprinted twice. Looks like nothing on dirt, but Serin's been around a long time. He's very shrewd, very good trainer. Claims this horse, runs the horse back at the same level, figuring no one's going to take him. Runs long on the turf. Maybe that's what this horse wants to do all along. So, I agree with Michael. The 9 and the 10 do you absolutely no favors in a pick and fray. To win these, you have to have price horses. So if you can make a case for a horse who, what was the horse, 12-1 on the line, and is now currently, let's see, 14-1. You're going to get paid. So it's a clever pick. Again, I wanted to be clever in this race, but my brain didn't allow me to do that.
Chris has the favorite as a lone A, the 9, and a try 9 over 10 over 1-7. And just to clarify, Michael's goal, the shorter prices don't help Michael with his. He's really trying to win this contest, get those 100 tour points, and make this a race with Julie Leboyko. When you only have to be in the top 10%, those horses could be extremely useful. So it just depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve. As it is now post time out there at Del Mar. What else is going on? What are the vibes like? Are people pulling up stumps and getting ready to get out of there? Is it dead? Is it?
It's a little quiet, but it's not. It's not. They're not ready to abandon ship just yet. So it's still okay. The mood is always a little somber because it's the end of the summer, the end of the meet. But the optimists are all saying, "Hey, 4 more days left. Let's go. We gotta, we gotta take some swings and make some money."
It's also got to be a lot different when it's a Breeders' Cup year, because it's kind of like, okay, see you in 6 weeks, see you in 2.
Right, we're back. Well, that was the biggest thing about the fall meet when it started. The end of the summer wasn't so bad because you knew we were going to be back here in November, right. So that does lessen the sting a little bit. And yeah, you're right, with the Breeders' Cup, that actually makes it something to look forward to. So it's not too bad. But talk to me Sunday after the 11th race when I'm really sad that I have to go 3 weeks without being at the racetrack for me, because unfortunately I don't get up to Los Al, because that's when I need to take a mental break.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure all the work you've been doing for us over at InTheMoneyPodcast.com on the plus side with your Frankly Speaking column. You're ahead, Frank. We'll let you watch the race. I'll sort of talk to it a little bit, but feel free to ignore for a moment. I didn't get to the leaderboard. I guess we'll just do it after this race. And there you have a Running Super, who we spent a lot of time talking about, going right to the lead with the Vibez. It looks like the number 3 back there, big long shot. Blue Fashion in third right now. Willie T, the favorite. I mean, gonna have to be Mucho the Besto, because that was a 4 wide uncovered move on the first turn. Not in a horrible spot now, but that's something to overcome. That might be a recipe for getting a favorite beat. That quarter went in 23-2. Running Super still leaping and bounding out here on the lead. Vibez in a comfortable second place with Blue Fashion, that long shot we name checked before, back in third, 2 wide. Down on the rail, a big long shot with a horse called Matters, and the favorite Willie T outside of that one. Looks like going to be taking the overland route all along the way here, would Willie T be, but must say she is traveling okay at this stage. Horses being shaken up in behind her. The field have caught up to Running Super, who appears to be tiring down there at the rail, with the 3 runner now, that Vibez, taking over. 9, just maybe those exertions early taking a toll, not picking up yet as they turn in the lane, and Vibez just under confident handling, taking over here. Doesn't look like anybody else is going to be able to get involved as far as the win goes. Den of Inequity, the other logical Frank mentioned. This one comes 9-10-1, which I think was the try that Chris gave out. So very nice hit, hopefully, for him there. Yeah, Frank, I mean, hey, sometimes the best way to be a wise guy is to know when not to be a wise guy. You gave us the favorite over the third choice. Now, I was going to make fun of you for giving us the favorite over the second choice, but it's the favorite over the third choice.
No, but the favorite didn't win. The Vibes won. The 3 won the race.
That's right.
Yeah, the 9.
I called it correctly, and then I immediately forgot. It was the other favorite.
It was like Freysu was watching tapes of Mike Smith, how not to ride a turf race. Get parked 4 wide in no man's land the whole time.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a horrendous ride. But look, you got the other maiden special weight dropper who wins. And, of course, look who the jockey is, Juan Hernandez. I think he's won 8 races today, and we've only run 3. So the guy's winning everything. He's just schooling everybody out there. It's crazy.
Sorry, Chris, for giving you false. Hopefully, you were well aware that I was talking nonsense when I said you hit the try. Your approach was good. You just had the wrong favorite on top. You did get the right big price in third, though. So yeah, I'm sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to misspeak there. I'm a little discombobulated today. There's a lot going on, as we hear here in the bunker for a few days between San Diego and Nashville, which I was talking about how excited I am to get there. We'll see what this does to the leaderboard. 3-10-1-9 in the end. At this point with this Willa T, Frank, are we getting to she's had her chances territory, or would you, off that not so good trip that we identified from the jump, give her one more chance? What's your inclination?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a complete toss race. You cannot win that way on the surf course. I mean, you just can't. I get it. Freysu thought he was on the best horse in the race. Keep the horse out of trouble. On the dirt, that's the winning trip. On the turf, no shot at all. Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to give the horse another chance, but I'm not in any hurry to bet her back. She really didn't show anything when the real running started. Let's look at that last race. I know it was a maiden special, but Baltic Fire came back to run the other day and didn't really do too much. I don't know. I have a hard time with these high-level maiden claimers. They don't know what level they're at. A bunch of them probably should be at the 20 level. So it's really hard. But that was a disappointing effort by Willa T. But you can't really win with that turf trip. So mixed feelings, Pete.
Yeah, I hear you. It'll all depend. That's one where, with so many of these maiden claimers, you don't want to dismiss their chances out of hand until you see the field they come up against.
Right.
And also, there's room for her to drop further, and that new low level is so potent.
I guarantee she got taken.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll bet no for 17 dropping to a new low level if they've got the best numbers and are going to get a good trip. I'm not a believer that some horses just won't go by regardless of competition, but it is pretty clear that there are horses that don't have that instinct when they're racing against a certain level of competition. The drop, though, can wake a lot of these horses up. All right, Michael Saletta, that's interesting from a Tour point of view because he is in second overall now with 2 races to go. He's in first, 60-82. James Millar in the Money Media Zone. Very, very busy in the early stages of Horse Players Happy Hour this year. Quieter since, making some noise here on this day, 55-32, the same as David Pierce, who's in our comments, Andrew Uretsky. Kieran Thornton, how about that? Have you seen him around out there?
Yeah. He's just walking by right now, I swear. He
Bring
just
him
mentioned
over.
your name. Hold on. Yeah, people want to talk to you. He just mentioned your
Well,
name.
I'll
Here,
let
get
me
closer.
do the rest.
Put that in your ear.
I'll do the rest
Come
of this
in.
leaderboard. Robert Mack, Matt Miller, Michael
Here.
Domable, that big long shot got him up to
Doing
47-72. Matt Blanchett, Andrew
Yeah, I'll just
Uretsky,
let you do it.
Jackson Muniz. Good to see him there again. Matt Letexier again. John Marino, Joseph Rumfolo, Jeff Mandry, John Bull III, P.T. Nixon, and Alan Rohrer. The folks as of right now who are
Here, I need
getting
to take
ready to
my
punch
shirt off.
their tickets into Saturday's 179 qualifier. Can I be? Are you kidding me with this shirt? Did you have that made?
I did. Of course I did.
How are things going out there? How are you enjoying the Del Mar summer? Kieran, for those that don't know, active horse player, happy hour player. He's been in all the contest jockey games. He plays in all the big tournaments as well. In a great spot right now on the NHC Tour, actually, as well. Kieran, tell us what's good.
And what are we doing? Kentucky Downs or Del Mar?
No,
Well,
I just meant in general. We can have you give some tips. You're up there on the leaderboard. It'd be fun to hear. But I meant more generally, how are things going? How are you're making
fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
8 more points, I would have got my BCBC entry on the first half leaderboard. So that was a knife in the gut there, coming second, but just missing the entry. So I guess I'm going to be doing some traveling in October, chasing that BCBC.
I was going to ask how serious you are about this NHC Tour business. I mean, do you expect to be dancing all the dances, or with where your scores are, do you need a different approach at this point?
I'm double qualified now, so I think my focus is now where it should have been all along, BCBC.
Gotcha. All right, I like it. Though, I mean, the NHC Tour is money if you can easily play in some of these big online ones. When you're where you are, it's not something I'd tell somebody at the beginning of the year, hey, you should chase this. But when you've gotten yourself into the position you're in, I mean, you at least need to look at the math here, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely be playing those big, the Friday tournaments. At this point where the scores I have, I need to be hitting those, the 400 person ones. So that'll be the focus going into next year for sure. And then, of course, the on-site ones as well.
Yes,
the
well,
live
that's
money.
what I was wondering. If you might travel to a place like Keeneland that has a lot of tour points, that might.
I think that is on. I'm looking at plane fare and hotels today, actually.
It's no hardship to JK when he was chasing it the year he won it, went to all kinds of wild places, but certainly no hardship to make your way out to Lexington for a few days. Have you been to Keeneland before?
Yeah, I went there for the Breeders' Cup. We had a couple of horses racing there a couple of years ago. It was a fantastic experience, and it's one of those. The town around it is. If there was anywhere other than San Diego that I was going to move to, it would definitely be out there for sure.
It's pretty cool. Michael, I got to. I know you made your at least one trip out to Keeneland. Is that a regular on your dance card now? Are you going to be heading back soon?
I wish I could get there every meet. Honestly, it's like such an awesome place. I've only been to Keeneland 3 times. I've went to both Breeders' Cups that have been there, and then I was there for the fall contest back in 2021. I think that's the time you're talking about when I met you there. But yeah, it's awesome. I would love to one year just spend the whole couple weeks in Lexington and just go to the whole meet. That would be.
I have that on that's a bucket list item for me too, to spend an entire meet down there. Have you been yet, Karen, or did you say?
Been where?
Oh, I asked you. My brain is not working today. Let me ask you this: the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. What is your experience in it so far, Kieran?
I've played it the last 3 years. I'm a long shot handicapper, and as you know, the last couple of years, a lot of the winners have, run their bankroll up betting on the favorites. And, it's probably, if there's an area of my contest play I need to work on, it's betting favorites. I'm always going to try and bet against them. And in the BCBC, that's not been a winning strategy the last couple of years, at least for me.
No, I mean, I could see doing. First of all, you could be surgical and get right, but you're right. It's going to take your strike rate way down. But I mean, the idea of playing clusters of long shots in the right races could work. Is that a strategy you've considered?
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of live money tournaments, I've started playing a little bit different, and I'm trying to get in the mode for BCBC. So I've been trying a couple of different things, using some more favorites when I'm doing doubles, and trying to try exactas a lot more, especially when I've got a good feeling. I mean, the one thing I hate the most is I find a long shot and then the favorite wins the next, and I didn't use that favorite in a double, and it could pay a few $100s, and that could be a big jump on the leaderboard.
No doubt about it. Michael, what's your general strategy in the BCs you've played in, and are you thinking about changing it up this year, or how far ahead do you start thinking about these things?
I don't start thinking about it until probably after all the preps are done, and then kind of once you kind of have a feeling of who's going to be in what fields, then I'll start thinking about it. I've played in 2 so far, zeroed out in both of them, unfortunately. But I think some of the different strategies I would have to take would definitely be to go all in on an opinion. Like, I kind of bled out on both of the last 2 times I played, and then I had at least one opinion in one of the years where if I would have stuck to my guns and gone all in, then I could have put myself in a good position. But
here, grab this one.
Yeah, I didn't have that. I didn't have the cojones at that time when I was playing in my first BCBC. So that you live and you learn. I think that would be something I would be willing to do if I got a chance to qualify this year.
Yeah, that sounds like a solid approach. And yeah, I mean, it is the kind of contest where obviously those kind of big pushes you're going to have to make if you want to win. But the prize pool is such now that I still don't think it's crazy for somebody to take. I mean, look, obviously the more optimal strategy is to play for the money at the top, but I don't think it's completely insane if you're betting that much money anyway, especially to bet it through the context of the contest and try to get in that lower rung of the prize pool and participate that way. That's also a valid approach, but it sounds like you're much more in it to win it these days than you would have been back then.
Yeah, I think I concur with what he was saying too. I mean, those first couple of BCBCs when you play and you're going up and you're doing those gigantic bets, you're like, oh my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
And then, taking the big stab, I think you absolutely have to do it for sure.
Let's talk for a minute while we have Kieran about this Kentucky Downs race, because I know he looked at it. Race number 10 coming up in 9 minutes. Oh, I have to thank you, Kieran. I was talking before about the Padres game on Monday and the excellent seating advice you were able to give. You saved me a lot of money, man.
Oh, yeah, that's the way to do it. I mean, I learned that the hard way having season tickets.
I mean, it wasn't, whoever sold them to me didn't get ripped off or anything, but it was good. It was good value for money and a beautiful day at the ballpark for sure. I hope your day at Del Mar was better than your day at Petco would have been.
Yep.
Oh, I like it. Getting back to winning ways. So that's what we like to hear. All right, give us the other option here. Kieran, if you need a minute to get, Kieran might need.
Yeah, he's got to get his glasses on. He's getting focused. He's like he's ready to drop some bombs. So you got to give him a chance to get ready.
Michael, we'll go to you instead here and get your idea of the winner.
No, I went 5-9.
Yeah, I like the number 10 Racontus a little bit in this spot. Put it on all 3 entries. This filly, Ian Wilkes filly. So I think. Her 0-for-9 record might dissuade some people, and I think that's what's currently happening, being that she's at 5-1 right now. But like, if I'm going to take an 0-for-9 runner, like Ian Wilkes is the trainer that I would want to take an 0-for-9 runner, because he's the type of trainer that they're just going to continuously improve every start. And if I look at her last start, she was wide in a race against Ellis, but still kept plugging on, and that was at 1 mile and a 16th. Now she gets to go 1 mile and 5/16. So the fact that she was plugging on through that race despite the wide trip makes me think she'll get the added distance. And Ian Wilkes, limited starters from the meet so far. They've all been big prices, but they've all run pretty well. And 3 have hit the board. None have been shorter than 8-1 on them. None have been shorter than 8-1 going off. Now I'm just kind of hoping that the penny breakage is going to come in handy for me if she wins, that I can pass the leader in the happy hour contest, because or else I would be blocked going into the last race.
Gotcha. Well, these are the kind of permutations you have to look at. I think that's an interesting point about Ian Wilkes, just as a trainer. In one of the examples in the Mike Maloney book, Betting with an Edge, he gives about a trainer whose horses he calls it the stair step pattern. This isn't exactly that. It's the idea of a trainer whose mounts you expect to continue to improve as they go along. So maybe gives you a little bit of hope with this 10 runner Racontus in this 10th race at Del Mar. Frank looks organized. Let's bring him back in, and we'll see if we can get Kieran's quick thought on this one. The way he said it earlier, I thought he had teed me up that he was ready to talk about these races. I put him away clearly. What's going on out there, Frank?
First of all, have you seen this T-shirt? Can you read
Yes, I
backwards?
commented on it. I commented on it.
Okay. The answer is no. in case we didn't know. But here, I'm going to put him on because he did the race.
Actually, I don't know why I picked what I picked. Only that, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I was looking for prices. I don't have the form in front of me. And, as you know, sometimes you got to, especially at Kentucky Downs, I mean, yikes. There's some great prices coming in there. And if you can land on the right prices, you're set.
So who did you use in the contest?
I got 5 and 9.
All right. Well, the 5 is the favorite. The 9 is 7-1. So we'll see where that gets you as far as this goes. I thought that Michael made a good case for the 10 runner Racontus in here. We got about 5 minutes till this one runs. We'll see what's going on. Are you playing, Karen? Are you playing in the King of the Turf contest on Saturday at Kentucky Downs?
I usually try to play them all, but I'm not sure. I don't know yet. I haven't decided yet. I'll probably look at the card tomorrow and make a decision. But I think I might hold my ammo for the Santa Anita one. I'm not sure yet. But
there is a big.
I'm a degenerate. I say I'm not going to play, and then in the morning I'm going to go, you know what? Let's do it.
Well, I thought just the way you were describing, if you're a long shot player in a big money contest, it feels to me like I would the nothing. Obviously, we love Santa Anita. I think you should play both. But if you were going to tell me your style of play and which one you should play, it would be Kentucky Downs, just based on that stylistic preference.
Yeah, but also I'm kind of a little bit biased that Kentucky Downs is a lot like the UK Irish courses. So, we all have our little biases, and sometimes I get blinded when I see some of these Irish horses when I shouldn't even be going near them, just because I think they're going to do well at Kentucky Downs. And even though, many times I'll pick one of those Irish horses, and the one I had as my backup that wasn't is the one that wins, and I'm like, it is what it is.
The first time I met Kieran, he came up to me, he goes, I got a horse that's going to make your meat. I go, okay. Steak and eggs, Irish bred, trained by Patty Gallagher, 21 on the morning line. Can't lose. Horse goes off at like 50-1. Of course, I bet the horse. Horse is up the track. Horse is nowhere. I go, why do I listen to this guy? He's an idiot. And then little did I know that every other long shot he gave me after that would come in, and I didn't bet it. So steak and eggs, I'll never forget that.
Oh, yeah, and then for the rest of the Del Mar meet, I think it raced 3 more times, and each time he was like, I'm not going to do it. And then he ended up, I had to throw a couple of bucks on, because if he wins and I didn't bet.
You need the insanity insurance. Karen, where's the best place to go racing in Ireland?
Oof. We were just there in June. Went to Goron Park. That was absolutely beautiful. It was a beautiful track. Hadn't been there since I was a kid. I was actually really impressed with it, to the point that when I'm seeing horses that have raced there, Before I might have downgraded them, but I think that track is absolutely beautiful. And if they're coming over from there off rain out here, especially to California, that's a big positive for me when I'm doing my handicap. And of course, the Curragh. I mean, they did a huge expansion there, and that's just another phenomenal track.
Very cool. We got a little
Have
more
you-
obscure one with the
Have you
Goran
been
Park.
racing in Ireland, Pete?
I went to Punchestown for a couple of days a couple of years ago. Great experience. So I've never done flat racing in Ireland, but it's on the list. I mean, I want to do. I keep threatening this, and one of these years it's going to happen, to do all the big European stuff. You know, just come to Saratoga, Del Mar, maybe get a weekend at each somewhere, but try to do Galway, and then Galway goes into Goodwood, and then you're not too far behind.
Well, there's one you absolutely must go to if you're in Ireland. It's in September. It's one of the most unique race meets, I think. It's the Laytown races.
Yep,
They
on the
actually
beach.
race on the beach.
Yeah.
Because if you're not familiar, in Ireland, the tides go out and they go out like a mile. And it's just a huge flat, and it's a really interesting perspective seeing the horses race there on the beach.
That's so cool. I would absolutely love to. I would love to check that out. Can you do it? Is it close usually to Irish Champions Weekend? Because that could be the double. You could get that amazing beach experience, and then you could do, Leopardstown and the Curragh.
Well, they've changed a lot of the meets around. They don't like run everything. One ends, the other one ends. Like when I was there in June, I was there was a lot of places I wanted to go, and like I wanted to go check out the Dundalk races. It wasn't actually built when I lived there. I used to go there for the dog racing. But they were dark when I was there, so I didn't get to. I mean, we went by the track, but didn't actually get to see the racing there. So they changed the schedules quite a bit.
What do you think of the Irish contender in this year's Breeders' Cup Classic? Do you give City of Troy any count based on what you've seen?
I'm not sure yet. I guess we'll have to see what the weather's like. I mean, it all depends. I mean, are we going to get that?
I'll tell you what the weather's like. 72 and sunny. It's Del Mar.
Yeah.
No. Well, Pete was out here. He brought the New York weather with us. It's humid, and what is it? 200 degrees here today at Del Mar.
It is.
We did have a day in the 80s. It wasn't pleasant. No, but
we do occasionally get rain early in November, occasionally, but I don't think it will be enough for any
thwart.
upgrades or downgrades on the racetrack.
So now that Frank has said it, it's going to happen.
It's gonna pour.
Just knocked us right into a.
I just mushed it. Totally mushed it.
Michael, do you have a Breeders' Cup Classic fancy yet? Are you with me leaning Team Fierceness, or do you have another idea?
I'm thinking Forever Young right now is kind of the one that just see if he trains up to the race. I mean, his trip in the Derby was not ideal, obviously. So I think he could be the Japanese are going to get one of these like Breeders' Cup Classics, or they've already got a couple of Breeders' Cup wins, and I think Forever Young could be the one that delivers it. But it's still really early. You want to see how the prep's come, how he shows up, and all that stuff. But he's kind of the outside shot right now.
Has he even run since the Derby? I haven't heard much about it, but this was the plan all along.
Yeah, I can't remember. I follow this good account on Twitter, Graham Pavey,
Sure.
Long Ball to No One. Yeah, and
Yes.
he always posts about the potential Breeders' Cup runners from Japan, and he's been high on them even after the break. So I think all systems are go to make it to the Breeders' Cup. I just can't remember exactly if there's going to be a prep overseas or not.
You would have to think, but that was weird last year with Derma,
right?
And they said he's done for the season, and now he's running. And I just couldn't. I loved him in the Derby. I couldn't bet a nickel on him. And he goes and runs second. So we're off here in the 10th at Kentucky Downs. Looks like a bit of a visually looks like there's some pace on here with number 7 Appellate out there on the lead ahead of a big long shot number 6 Hampton Yard down in 3rd at the fence under the mistletoe, hanging in there with just a wall of horses next door, including Screaming Mimi and Public Assembly, and I think that's another giant long shot Textile up in that vanguard as well. beginning to sort themselves out as they go into the start of that very long turn, and Appellate still out there on the lead, followed in behind. Are you tracking where you are in this race, Michael? You happy?
Yeah, we got the Bourbon Lane Silks, red and cream color, about mid pack, angling out about 5 wide, making a little bit of a move, but Jock is niggling on them.
You must be ahead of me because I'm just at the midway point in the turn. The 7 still in front. I do see. I just caught up to what you just described. Your Raconteuse gonna have to answer a question in a hurry here. Turning in, it's still Appellate, this longtime leader, holding the others at bay. And not really seeing a lot being pulled out from the back of the pack, but one who's in a good attacking position is that number 5 Public Assembly, the favorite. But it's not just between those two. There's also I honestly can't pull it up for you. But the horse that's in third is the 8, Michael says. But it really looks like it's down to the 2 in front, with Public Assembly knocking heads with Appellate, and I think that's the way it came. Just looked like you know the interesting runners we talked about seemed to empty out a bit. Wasn't a whole lot of closing going on there, Michael, for a race that at least looked visually fast. Do you think it's baking out a little bit? Is it too early to say that?
I wouldn't necessarily draw too much into that, just because they were 8-5 and 7-1, but 4-1 on the morning line. I'm not going to make a pattern of ever taking 8-5 on Chad Brown runners at Kentucky Downs. I don't think that's a way to make money long term. But got the job done here. Bet down off of the 8-1, the 5-1 morning line, and pulled it off.
Yeah, I think that it is interesting, and I think we are going to see him targeting these purses more. Chad seems like, following his training over the years, a creature of habit. This is a spot on the dance card more are going to be choosing. So the historical stats don't really bother me, but still, yeah, that kind of a price in a race at Kentucky Downs, not easy to swallow. Speaking of short prices, we are 3 minutes to race number 5 at Del Mar, and we're dealing with a big favorite here in the form of number 4, Leia's Candy. Kieran and Frank, we'll start with you guys at Del Mar. Is this a favorite we can try to oppose?
I hate this. Oh, sorry, Frank. I hate to say it, but I went first and second choice, and I usually don't bet favorites. I just didn't see anything else that I could make an excuse for. So I'm hoping for 2 wins so I can get my chalky pick 5.
Okay, you got a chalky pick 5 going. What about the contest? Have you looked at the leaderboard? What will got a chance to advance to play on Saturday or get some tour points potentially?
I have not looked. Let's have a look here and see.
While he's looking, I will say that Leia's Candy is absolutely the one to beat. I come on the show every week, and I always try to be clever and pick long shots, and I never get it done. Today, I picked 2 favorites. One goes down at 6-5. Let's see if this one goes down. But in the contest, I just thought this was a game theory type situation. If people are going to pick a long shot, I think they're going to gravitate to 3 joint venture just because it's D'Amato. So I thought the sneaky contest play was the 7, Arrogant Spirit. That horse, that race 2 back was good enough to win this. Just tossed the last race, was wide on the worst part of the track. Kent Sweezy claimed the horse, running the horse right back at the same level. I thought that horse was sneaky from a game theory contest perspective, because I think a lot less people will be on that horse than the D'Amato horse, the 3, if they're looking for a price horse in the last.
I actually liked that one too. I just jumped off it because of one of my biases. But yeah, I like your number 7 for sure.
Michael, what did you end up doing in the contest, and what are you thinking now that you're able to look at the prices here?
Yeah, I definitely quick capped the Del Mar races a little bit more than the Kentucky Downs races, but I landed on the number 6 Hard Money Muchachos. I don't do like track trends for Del Mar on a daily basis, but I definitely have thought that being wide has not always been the place to be. I don't know exactly which cards those were, but generally speaking, that's not what I've thought has been winning moves at Del Mar. And this gelding was 3 to 4 wide in the start locally. I just didn't want to take the 3 to 5 on Lay's Candy, and I could kind of see that was coming from looking at the form that he was going to get bet down from the 8 to 5 or the 7 to 5 morning line. So I had to land elsewhere, and that was the one I chose.
All
Yeah,
right,
I mean, at
makes
Del Mar, when in doubt, bet JJ.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially when he's not a favorite.
Yeah.
I think, 40% win rate or something like that?
And also, yeah, I mean, to Mike's point, that horse has been on the worst part of the track and should get a good stalking trip today. The track's a little more fair towards the end of the meet. You can see horses stalking outside and actually winning. So that horse should get the right trip. We'll see if it's good enough to beat the big dropper, Lay's Candy.
Makes sense. Some good ideas there. Putting them all together and betting. I think it's interesting. Try to work the 7 up into the number with all the other horses that were discussed. It's a good case on a big price, and that's kind of fun sometimes. Trying to multitask and put some bets in. Just throw a little something in. See if we can get a long shot in the mix. I wonder how Steve Goldberg's show parlay is going. Has he been texting you for tips?
Well, terrible. I gave him that 9, and the 9 was off the board at 6 to 5. So he won't be texting me today. And I don't blame him.
They're off with the Little Red Feather Runner joint venture. I assume it would have come up if Kieran was in on that one. Kieran is. I should have post fail here. Should have asked him earlier about the big horse, Little Red Feather Gold Phoenix that he is a part of. Yeah, he has a lot of custom made clothes because he has the Frank T-shirt, but he also has a gold flipping Phoenix jacket, which is the envy of all the Little Red Feather partners, I'm sure. Lay's Candy up there in the vanguard, Keen to Go on the inside. They're both running around there with double handfuls. This long shot, Arrogant Spirit, is in a place to potentially attack there in third down at the rail. Keen to Go, living up to that name, pulling a little bit up towards those at the front of the pack right now. Lay's Candy seizing control of things, getting clear a length, but joint venture hasn't really been asked. Unfortunately, Arrogant Spirit is appearing to go the wrong way. Meanwhile, we've got the 2-runner, Keen to Go, who pulled up into that spot, now in a great attacking position outside this favorite. Favorite definitely going the better of the 2 as they turn in, whip out on Keen to Go. Looks like more of a double handful when it comes to Lay's Candy, who is really going to have something go awry to lose from here. But who knows? Let's see if this Keen to Go can stick on and at least make a race of it as we enter the last 16th. Look at a little conveyor belty now. Run from the back of the pack from Rogue's Son to make it a battle for third with joint venture. But Lay's Candy holds off easily. Keen to Go as far as the relevant contest positions go. What, your horse was in position for a second there, Frank.
I'm sorry. Hold on, Pete. What'd you say?
I just said your horse was in position for a second there.
Yeah, I mean, that's ran to his odds. Was right up there and just found nothing. Lay's Candy was absolutely going to be so hard to beat in that race, and the horse proved it. It did what the horse was supposed to do. When you're dropping from proper allowance company into a race like this, you're supposed to win the race.
Do we have a delay or anything at Kentucky Downs, Michael? I'm not seeing that official.
Yeah, I've not seen it go official on mine either.
Haven't seen it. I'll pull up.
Well, yeah.
Looks like they're just walking around.
Okay. Does it say?
Unofficial still.
Yeah, it just says.
Already took the winner photo.
Yep, 5, 7, 9, 8. I'm sure they'll get their act together.
My 9 came in third.
There it is. I think no, not yet. Sorry, those were times. This was like my ropiest hosting in 5 years of doing shows for In the Money Media. So thanks to everybody for sticking with me. Hopefully the guests were of quality and the general fun of it that we were able to overcome my hosting on this show.
The guests were definitely high quality, Pete.
we got 2 Franks today.
There you go.
We also got Frank Tate and Bobby Benton over here listening and watching along too.
Very nice.
A little crowd. We're starting a little grassroots movement out here.
I like it. We'll take all the publicity help that we can get. This is funny. I don't ever remember being in a situation where we had all the contest races run, but we were waiting for tote data on 2. Okay, there was an objection and no change, said Chris. So that's why that was delayed a bit. I don't know why it's being delayed now. Sounds like Del Mar is official. Did I hear Trevor say
They
that?
went official. Yep. They just went
But I'm
official
not-
here. You see
4
the
to 5.
prices?
Yeah, 4 to 5.
You see the prices?
4 to 5 in the end on the Forerunner Candy.
Yeah, I'm sweating the whether I'm going to make Saturday right now. I'm trying to do math on 2 races at the same time. Doesn't really. Michael tries math, fails. Might have to be out the bingo card.
I like your chances better than the guy who usually tries math. All right, both races are now official, so we're just waiting for this to get communicated, and there it is. So let's bring it up to the stage, and we got 17 going. All right, exacta. Look at that, Kieran Thornton
As you can
in
tell,
the exacta position for HorsePlayers Happy Hour. This is the second time this has happened, Kieran, this meet where we have someone who finished in the top 2. Do you know? Are you familiar with the format? Do you know what that means?
I think I play on Saturday and then something with the tour that ends when?
You will
The end of
play
October, right?
exactly. You will play in there's playoffs. They start with 80 runners, and they goes for 4 weeks. 80 down to 40, 40 down to 20, 20 down to 10, and then winner take all at the final table. But in those first rounds, you just have to make
a second
top line to get the job done. Matt Miller in third, playing all the 7s. Cheeky. Matt Blanchett, James Millar, David Pierce, Andrew Uretsky, Robert Mack, Joseph Rumfolo, and William McCool. That's our tour point getters. Michael Domowell does not get tour points, but squarely in to play on Saturday. Bernard Moore, Matt Letexier, Andrew Uretsky, GT Nixon, Alan Rohr, and John Manarino. That's going to do it. Those are our players for the winners for this week's HorsePlayers Happy Hour. You happy enough with that, Michael? Any chance that 10 points is going to cost you being on the bubble with 11, or are you more just happy you made play on Saturday?
No, I think after not getting either of those runners in the last 2, just getting to Saturday was all I could really have asked for. So I'm excited about that. Got some Kentucky Downs action on Saturday, and this is actually the going to be the 3-year anniversary of me punching my ticket on this exact pattern at the on the Kentucky Downs closing weekend through this feeder system. So hopefully history can repeat itself.
I love that. I love that for you. Congrats to and thanks really to Chris and Mike and David being so active in these comments. I'd love to keep that. Love to keep that energy going through the last few weeks. Kieran, congratulations. That's a good result for you. Hopefully you'll have some joy Saturday, and we look forward to seeing you in the HorsePlayer Happy Hour playoffs.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Frank, always
wait. Hold on, Pete. Hold on. Look who's here. Come
What
on.
do we got?
Look who's here.
I can't. Kieran's in the way. I have no idea who it is.
Do you see who that is?
Is that the sex dragon himself,
That's
Andrew
the
Brown?
sex dragon himself making an appearance. I saw him earlier. I said, you want to ruin another broadcast with the terrible dancing? This is where we'll be.
He did dance very impressively on last week's show. All right, that's it for our friends at the Breeders' Cup. Thanks so much for sponsoring these shows. To everybody for playing, get involved next week. Horseplayers.com. To Kieran, to Frank, to Michael, to everybody in the comments, to the Sex Dragon, to Steve Goldberg. Good luck with that show parlay. We'll be back next week. Until then, may you win all your photos.